Obviously not everyone in Aleppo lucky enough to escape the deadly militant shelling. Meanwhile, as US-backed forces enter the city of Mosul in Iraq, Russia's defense ministry has released satellite images showing the aftermath of coalition airstrikes on civilian areas on the city's outskirts. And the evidence comes amid mounting reports from local social media that the strikes are claiming innocent lives. However, we cannot independently verify them. So RT's Guyan Chichakan spoke to the US State Department about the growing allegations of collateral damage.
The State Department did not speak to specific strikes in and around Mosul. I did cite the coalition strike on October 22nd, which killed 8 civilians, according to a family member of the deceased. U.S. officials have previously, on a number of occasions, said one civilian casualty is too many. Most recently, State Department's John Kirby.
Any civilian casualty is a tragedy. One is too many. I'm not minimizing that at all.
In light of the evidence of civilian casualties in Mosul, I asked the State Department whether the one-too-many approach to civilian casualties is the U.S. policy or whether it is something that the State Department says.
When you say one is too many, do I understand it too literally? Should I not?
Whenever we carry out a military strike, whether it's part of the coalition or not, we take every effort and take every precaution to avoid civilian casualties. This is kinetic warfare, and sometimes accidents may happen. And when they do, and there are credible reports of civilian casualties, we investigate those reports.
This is just the beginning of the operations to retake Mosul from ISIL, as Iraqi forces, with the help of the U.S., are closing in on the city of 1.5 million people. When Russia was helping Syrian forces to fight al-Nusra in eastern Aleppo, it faced a huge backlash for the civilian casualties that their operations caused. With that, my next question.
Well, the U.S. argument against Russia's actions in eastern Aleppo was that the fight against terrorists there was not worth the civilian casualties, not like that. In Mosul, do you think it's worth it?
What we have seen in and around Aleppo are indiscriminate attacks against civilian populations, civilian infrastructure, hospitals, schools, civilian targets that raise questions whether these are deliberate targets. With regard to our operations in and around Mosul, of course, we'll investigate and look into any credible allegation of civilian casualties. But I can never say in an operation, a military operation, that civilians won't get hurt, injured, or killed. But what I can say is that we make every effort as part of the anti-Daesh coalition and as a leader in that to avoid civilian casualties.
The U.S. doubts Russia's motives and intentions when it says it's fighting al-Nusra in eastern Aleppo. But when the U.S. is accused of a military action that went awry, Washington says it was done with good intentions.
However, witness accounts obtained by our journalists on the ground suggest there may be a discrepancy between U.S. claims and what the coalition is actually doing in Mosul. Here are some examples.
In the pursuit of Nusra, or Daesh for that matter, there's no excuse for targeting innocent civilians or damaging civilian infrastructure in the effort to go after them.
The warplanes in Mosul are targeting Islamic State jihadists who use civilians and their homes as shields. The bombs fall and hit terrorists and civilians alike. We fled from the liberated district and there is no one left there. There is no electricity, nothing.
The military operations that are being conducted in Mosul are being done in such a way that if they don't feel threatened, civilians can stay. They can stay because there's going to be there's going to be procedures put in place to try to protect them.
In Mosul, I saw how one strike razed 4 houses to the ground. Innocent people are dying. Planes are dropping bombs. One house is targeted, but 4 are destroyed. Another plane demolished more than 6 buildings. Who is to blame? What have we done to deserve this?